look what the first comment is. You'll be on Catfish before you know it.
Is it my birthday today? Well, yes. Yes, it is. Am I giving you this gift of a video on my birthday as if it were your birthday? Well, yes. Yes, I am. We all know that a catfish named Zach is never a good sign, okay? If you know, you know, and if you don't, catch up. Catch up. Let's get into the absolute mess of an episode that is season 5, episode 20, Andrew and Zach. This is yet another episode with Max, and it is absolutely full of twists and turns. We start off the episode with a little bit of a memorialized moment. We start off with a little snippet of, and even Max talking about the Orlando nightclub Pulse shooting. They wear these LGBTQ plus shirts and they hug and they make it about them. Somehow they find a way to make it about them. Before we get into reading an email from Marion. Marion lives in North Carolina and she is writing into the show on behalf of her friend named Andrew, who recently moved to California. He met a guy named Zach on Tinder and they have been talking ever since. It's already not looking good, brother, for reasons you know, and if you don't know, again, catch up. Catch up. Marion is pretty sure that Zach is a catfish because of all of the classic catfish reasons, of course. They have never spoken on the phone, they have never FaceTimed, and they have never met up despite living in the same state.
Okay.
Marion says that Andrew is probably naive because they were online friends for years before actually meeting up in person and becoming real life friends. So in Andrew's mind, because things worked out so well with Marion, any other online situationship, friendship, relationship will also end positively, which is definitely something. But she basically just needs the show's help to shake some sense into Mr. Andrew. So the guys quickly hop on a Skype call with Marion and they talk about nothing particularly important, to be completely honest with you, before adding Andrew to the call and Marion leaving the call. So she was literally just like the introduction and they're like, okay, bye, see you later. Andrew tells us that Zach is a 24-year-old CrossFit trainer and he found his cringy pickup line to be endearing.
Are you spaghetti because I'd like you to meet my balls? And
so he decided to continue talking to him and go from there. I almost threw up in my mouth. This line would not work on me. I would be disgusted and turned off, but Andrew, he liked it. Andrew says that he is attracted to Zach mentally, emotionally, and of course physically. They did meet on Tinder. He claims that there is no sexual overtone throughout their messages despite the initial message that got him interested in the first place.
This is draining me. I'm kind of done with it already.
So Andrew lives in LA and Zach lives in the Bay Area. So not exactly the same place, but in my mind, close enough to make it happen. Zach always has an excuse as to why he won't meet up or even call. Andrew says that he does want something more with Zach. He wants to start a life together and he would be willing to relocate for Zach. Being willing to uproot your whole entire life, once again, because you just moved to LA, for a man who can't even be bothered to give you a call, hop on a FaceTime, take a little trip to come see you, is absolutely insane. So the guys hop off the call and they head over to meet with Andrew in person since they are also in LA. Neve and Max make light fun of Andrew's fit, which to me is wild because they're literally wearing matching shirts. I feel like when you're in complete matching outfits with somebody, you don't really get to make fun of anything that anybody else is wearing. Okay, that's just my opinion though. Messy ass Neve then gets right into what Andrew's dating life looked like before Zach. And let's just say Andrew does not hold back. That rhymed.
Here's my pic, do you want to? That's the general experience.
We then see his Tinder profile and even Max makes some jokes about Andrew getting some meat, which I won't repeat because I'm a very, very classy lady. Okay, we keep it classy over here, very demure.
Very classy, very demure.
Andrew then says that one day he was talking to a friend about Zach and this whole situation. The friend asked to see a picture of Zach and then the friend says, holy shit, call me because I know who this is. What the hell? What the hell? So the friend then reveals to Andrew that the guy in the pictures, Zach Miller, is apparently an internet personality and he was actually voted the hottest guy on Tinder in Maine by People magazine. That sounds like something made up, but because our society is so vain, I completely believe this to be true. So this is what's confusing to me because it's the very beginning of the episode and we already know for sure that Andrew is being catfished. Okay, so why are we here?
What about that? What about that?
But to be honest with you, Andrew is a little bit delulu, and he thinks that it's possible for the main Tinder profile to be fake, but the California Tinder profile to be real.
Make it make sense.
This is a very, 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 very unlikely, but anything is possible, especially on Catfish. So Max is like, okay, so we know you're not talking to this guy. And then Neve hypes him up before asking, why the hell are you pursuing someone who you know is lying? What's going on? What's going on? Andrew essentially just says that their bond is so strong. He wants to know who he has really been talking to all this time because he is in fact open to a romantic relationship with the catfish because he feels like he is falling in love with him and falling fast. Now, this is a song and dance that we have all heard before. However, I just hope that he really means that because I'm going to hold him to it, whether he actually meant it or not.
What do I know, Jeff?
In the car debrief, Max is actually surprisingly the one to make a cringy pun.
And curiosity killed the catfish.
And then we get right to investigating. So Neve says that he is actually excited to do this episode because he is optimistic that this will actually end in a loving, romantic, healthy relationship. I thought Andrew was Delulu, but maybe Neve is more Delulu than he is. Maybe. They start the investigation by looking at the real Zach's Facebook profile, and they see that he has recently made a status complaining about someone in New Zealand using his pictures to catfish. Max makes another terrible pun.
On Grindr in Auckland, New Zealand.
Whoa.
I mean, that's awkward.
Before we see in the comments someone saying that Zach will be on Catfish before he knows it.
Mind your own business.
For whatever reason, Neve and Max high five to this, and they send Zach a message asking him to reach out. They see a girl in one of his profile pictures who they assume to be a good college friend of his, so they send her a message as well asking her to reach out. Neve and Max then decide to run the first phone number that Andrew gave them, and it comes back with a hit to someone named Stacy who lives in Monterey, California.
What?
Now, Stacy is a more feminine name, so the guys deduce that if she is a woman, it would make sense as to why she doesn't want to video chat or even call on the phone, let alone meet up. They then run the phone number through another search tool, and we see that it comes back linked to someone named Johnny, who has the same last name as the fake Zach profile, and he lives in Seaside, California.
Got him. We fucking got him.
All roads lead back to California. But they look up Johnny on Facebook, and then they show us someone's profile who to me is clearly not the catfish. This guy who has John on the Facebook page, but then Johnny in like the URL. He's from a place called Orange, and his profile picture is him and his daughter. They blur out his daughter in the back, but of course they don't blur him out. Okay, but then the guys go on this wild, wild ride of their insane imagination. They create a random theory with absolutely no factual backing that this John guy is the catfish, that he's down low. He wants to explore his sexuality, but he wants to hide that from his wife, who doesn't know that he's gay and doesn't know what he's up to. Thank God, a phone call from Elizabeth interrupts this tinfoil hat session, and Elizabeth says that neither her or Zach have been in contact with anyone using Zach's pictures, but this has been happening for years and has happened over 60 times now. I think if people were... Child, I don't want to give anybody any ideas, so I'm not even going to finish that sentence, okay? But she then gives them the real Zach's phone number. They thank her for her time, for her help, and they hop off the call. Neve says that he hopes Zach's personality matches his abs.
If his personality matches his abs.
And they make some more jokes about Zach being the sexiest man on Tinder in Maine, which I guess I understand, but at the same time, I don't think this is the time for these types of jokes. You just spoke with his best friend who talked to you extensively about how this has really been affecting his life. And you're like, yeah, let's make jokes about it. Like, I don't know, it didn't seem like the right time to me. But they give Zach a call. He doesn't answer. Oh, boo-hoo. And he's got a very corny voicemail that makes Max giggle a little bit.
You got the machine. You know the routine.
And Neve then leaves Zach a brief voicemail just filling him in on what's been going on and asking him to give them a call back. The guys then look at a map to see where Seaside is, and Max says that it looks nice, so he does hope the catfish is over there. Again, sir, this is not the time. This is not the time. So the guys then head over to Andrew's place and they fill him in on the findings of their research. They throw out all of their random theories at Andrew before diving into the down low dad John profile with the daughter.
Lawyers, please stay away from this video.
Andrew then chimes in while they're looking at the Facebook page and says that John's banner looks like it relates somehow to CrossFit. I really don't think that this is the catfish, and I really do wish that they would stop showing him and kind of putting him on blast for something that they don't even know if he's a part of or not.
Side eye.
But we move.
Side eye.
We move. The guys then try to call the real Zach once again, and he actually answers this time. Zach begins to talk about how the catfishing started, and Neve quickly and unnecessarily puts him in his place.
Sort of got this thing where I'm the sexiest man alive.
Sexiest man in Maine.
Andrew then tells him that he is being catfished by someone using the real Zach's pictures. Zach apologizes even though it's clearly not his fault. They then tell the real Zach that the fake Zach's phone number came back linked to someone named Johnny, and at this point the real Zach's jaw is on the floor.
Does any of that ring a bell?
And I don't know about you guys, but in this moment I'm thinking he knows Johnny. Zach then tells us that about 2 weeks ago, he got a catfish confession from Johnny.
Girl, don't play.
Okay, and Johnny apologized for using Zach's pictures and let him know that he had been catfishing as him. He admitted that he was now in a romantic relationship with someone who thinks they're in a relationship with the real Zach, which is interesting. Okay, it's interesting to me for a number of reasons, but the main one is it seems like this catfish wants to be caught when usually it's quite literally the opposite. So at this point, I'm just wondering what his motivations are for doing all of this, because it doesn't seem genuine to me. They thank Zach for his time, they get off the call, and as soon as they get off the call, Zach sends them a screenshot of his conversation with Johnny. So they do a little bit of sleuthing and they find Johnny's real profiles right away. They take about 2 seconds to address the whole download cheating married man plotline to dismiss it, and then they jump right back to Johnny.
We were wrong. It's not the guy that we found on Facebook. This is him. This has to be him. I think we found him.
We found him.
With all the time they spent on this theory, you think they would spend a little bit more time talking about how it's not true, how it's not the case, but you know, we move. Andrew says that based on the pictures, Johnny is a good-looking guy and he seems to be in shape, so he doesn't understand why he would be catfishing in the first place. And Max, once again, pushes the down low storyline, and I wish he would stop. Okay?
Unless you're not out or something.
Andrew seems very open to pursuing a relationship with Johnny because he says that he was not super attracted to the physical aspect anyways. It was more about the person, and he seems genuine with this, okay? So we'll see. We'll see. After the whole T and Ibrahim situation, I'm not believing anybody on this show when they're talking about, I don't care about looks. You're a liar. Why would we believe a lying liar who lies? But they give Johnny a call and he sends them right to voicemail. So they send him a message asking him to give them a call, but it's like, if he got the call and sent you right to voicemail, he probably doesn't want to talk to you. It's just my opinion on that. So Johnny, or fake Zach, is having a very hard time believing that this is really Catfish. So they send him a picture to prove that it is really them and to prove that they are with Andrew. He messages back right away saying that he isn't comfortable being on the phone. Andrew knows that, but he is down to text. And okay, pause. Because why you gotta throw Andrew under the bus when you're the one literally catfishing?
What's not clicking, Steven?
Like, that was a little weird to me. But also, in my opinion, at this point, Andrew doesn't know very much, if at all anything, about you, because you've quite literally been lying about so much. So to be like, well, he knows I'm not comfortable being on the phone.
Don't piss me off, for real.
We don't care. So Johnny, fake Zach, then messages back and says that things have gotten out of control, but he cares about Andrew. But at the same time, after saying he cares about Andrew, he shuts down a potential meeting for right now, saying that he has anxiety. So this is tough and he needs time to process everything. Neve tells him to let them know what the deal is in the morning, but it seems like whether Johnny agrees to meet up or not, they are heading to Seaside. Catfish doesn't care about your consent.
A girl.
In the car debrief, Neve says that they need to be careful because Johnny may not be out yet, so coming on the show is not necessarily a comfortable thing to do when you're in that position. So he once again reiterates that they need to be careful and respectful and not try to pressure Johnny into doing something that he is not comfortable doing.
Well, we need to be really careful here, right? Because we could be dealing with a guy who's not out.
I, for one, am very confused where this notion is coming from that Johnny is in the closet, because he's never said that to anybody. They've been very much
Today, Junior!
It seems like since the very beginning, Neve at least, and then Max later on, was convinced that someone is down low in the situation. It seems to have been a theory that they've had in their minds since the very beginning, and they're adamantly sticking to it. And while I absolutely appreciate the thoughtfulness and the consideration in this moment, I am just left wondering why it wasn't applied in other situations that we have previously discussed in other videos, or why that same logic wasn't applied in this video when they were talking about the John with the daughter who they thought was married.
Make it make sense.
Quickly.
Like, I don't know. It just...
Be nice.
Something about it feels a little bit disingenuous. I don't know why. That's just how I feel. And it's my birthday, so you can't argue with me. But ultimately, both Neve and Max are hoping for a happy ending.
Delusion?
The next morning, the guys pick up Andrew, and Neve lets us all know that Johnny actually messaged him back and agreed to meet. So things are looking good, brother, which rarely happens on this show. Looks like Max will be getting his dream wish of going down to Seaside after all. So they land, and then they head right over to meet Johnny in town by the wharf. And honestly, anytime I hear wharf, I just think of Bob's Burgers.
You're in trouble again.
Drink some cranberry juice.
What? No, not you're in trouble. You are in trouble.
I'm not gonna lie to you, I love that show so much, it's so funny. But Andrew says that he is very nervous, and rightfully so. You're about to meet the person who is catfishing and lying to you.
Side eye.
So as they pull up to the wharf, for whatever reason, the show likes to edit these scenes with some extremely loud and very dramatic music. And when they get there, they spot Johnny right away. So when they pull up on Johnny, it is so awkward.
How you doing?
How you doing?
And Johnny then tells us that he is having a little bit of an anxiety attack, so that would definitely explain the awkwardness. Johnny tells us that he is a manager at a grocery store, he is not a CrossFit trainer, and he is 24. He tells us that he came clean to Zach because he is not a malicious person, and he was feeling really bad about what he was doing, but I don't know. This could be true. It could be true. I'll leave it at that. There's a potential for this to be true. Now in hindsight, I think that was a very shady way of me implying that he is a liar.
And
Johnny then tells us that he is in fact not out to his family, and he has not dated anybody until this year, and this guy was his first everything, okay? After his ex broke up with him, he says that he began to struggle a lot with anxiety and depression, so he made the fake profile in hopes of catfishing his ex and seeing if he had moved on so Johnny could move on too.
I made the fake profile hoping to match with my ex and see if he had moved on. That way I could move on too.
Couple things here, okay? I was gonna say two things, but it might be more than two things. You never know. First thing, I think production knew this and they told Neve and Max, and that's why they kept pushing that storyline about someone being down low and not being out of the closet and having to be mindful of that and yada, 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 because that's something they've literally never cared about in previous episodes or episodes that I have seen. And the other thing is, while I have a lot of empathy for Johnny, I just feel like this is one of the worst things you could possibly do when trying to get over an ex, because I mean, technically you aren't even trying to get over them, you're literally just stalking them and then going out of your way to deceive them in order to force them into some sort of interaction with you that they clearly don't want to have. So that in and of itself is inherently manipulative, even if you say all this with a sad face and make it seem like, woe is me. It's like, no, that's kind of batshit crazy, just so you know.
Look at God, won't he do it?
Don't you ever question me again,
that was a good
by
one.
the way.
So Johnny never actually matched with his ex, and he claims that he got drunk one night and started swiping right on everyone, and that is how he eventually matched with Andrew. Andrew is clearly so unimpressed hearing all of this, like very much aggravated is what it seems like, but it's clear that he's trying to give Johnny the benefit of the doubt and hear him out. I rhymed again, y'all. What's going on today?
Girl.
Rappers, watch out. I'm coming for your gig. But Johnny says that he is really interested in Andrew, and this seems to cheer Andrew right up. He says that he owes Andrew the truth because he also really does have feelings for him. Apparently, allegedly. Johnny says that he hasn't come out to his family yet because he fears disappointment, which is absolutely heartbreaking to hear. I think everybody, for the most part, has a general fear of disappointing your family, but to have this fear over something that is inherently out of your control, something as basic and as simple as who you love, that is absolutely devastating. Andrew then gives Johnny some very sound advice.
I think it's healthier for you to be yourself and not worry about their expectations.
Johnny then says that the name and the pictures were fake, but the personality was real, and he is hoping that Andrew is willing to get to know Johnny as Johnny, not as fake Zach. Neve and Max then step away in order to give the two lovebirds a chance to talk. Johnny then apologizes, and Andrew wastes absolutely no time asking if Johnny is ready for a romantic relationship, to which Johnny says that no one is ever ready for anything.
I mean, you're never really ready for anything. Like, I was never ready to meet my ex.
What? Okay, I personally don't think this is true, but I also think that this is the worst possible answer he could have given Andrew in this moment. I don't think that this is very reassuring considering everything that has just gone down. Like, why would you say that out of all things? But Andrew is much more understanding than I. Johnny says that he is scared, but he is ready to come out to his family as long as Andrew is there to support him and help him, and then they decide to head to a cafe to continue their date. Neve and Max actually get in the car and like physically leave the location, which usually doesn't happen, especially because it doesn't seem like they said their goodbyes. They just made it seem like, oh, we'll go and then we'll come back like how they usually do. In the car, Neve says that they're both cute, so he's hoping for the best. Max brings him back down to earth, back down to reality, and tells Neve that just because they're both cute doesn't mean they're gonna fall in love.
Just because they're both cute doesn't mean that they're gonna fall in love.
Wake up, be real. We then cut to a self-filmed shot of Johnny in what I'm assuming is his own house. I don't know. But he tells us that he really likes Andrew and he's happy that he came clean. Now, in another self-filmed shot, Andrew tells us that Johnny is a sweetheart and their connection is more meaningful than most. And while what Johnny did is not okay, Andrew also did crazy things when he experienced his first heartbreak. Editing Jada, run the clip. But Andrew is much more understanding than I. So in the last shot we get of the two on their date, Johnny says that his ex now just ignores him, and he actually bought tickets for them to go to a Giants game next weekend, and the ex never responded to him, never told him if they are still going together, which is absolutely crazy for a number of reasons, besties. If someone doesn't confirm plans or they are consistently ignoring you, please stop contacting them, stop trying to make plans to see them, just leave them alone.
J.D.
So naturally, Andrew is like, well, do you want to go? And then Johnny says this.
You want to go?
But what if he like reaches out to me?
Cut the cameras.
Personally, I can only imagine how Andrew felt in this moment because it felt like a punch to the gut, and this was not even said to me. It's also clear to me that Johnny is not over his ex, and I'm starting to question his real motivation for coming on the show. Like, did you really want to come clean? Do you really have feelings for Andrew? Or is this all just a manipulative plot to get your ex's attention? Andrew then makes it clear that he now knows that Johnny is not over his ex, which I appreciate his directness, his straightforwardness, but Johnny, however, beats around the bush, and it very much seems like he is still actively trying to pursue that relationship with his ex, but he wants to keep Andrew around because he likes the attention that Andrew gives him. I don't know if he necessarily likes Andrew himself. In another self-filmed clip, Andrew says exactly what I just said and what we were all thinking. That Johnny did all of this just to get back with his ex, and that is obviously not sitting well with him. So Neve and Max then meet up with Andrew the next morning to get all the tea. You know they love the drama, they love the mess. Andrew says that Johnny is a really sweet, a really nice guy, but he is not feeling anything romantically for Johnny, as Johnny's main goal at this point is getting back with his ex, so he decides that he just wants to be friends. He then says something so incredibly insightful and self-aware, and he says that it would be reckless to jump into a relationship for both him and Johnny.
To jump into something I think would be reckless for him and for me, because no one needs a rebound.
This to me was very profound because a lot of people don't give a fuck about that. They're not thinking about the bigger picture, but Andrew definitely is. And he's seeing the situation and Johnny for who they really are, rather than what he wishes it to be, what he wants it to be. What Neve and Max want it to be.
Sorry to this man.
Neve doesn't seem incredibly thrilled to hear this news, but he can't do anything about it. So they meet back up with Johnny, and Andrew says that based on what they both need, it's best that they just remain friends. Johnny acts disappointed for like half a second, but to me it's clear that this was the outcome he also wanted, because Johnny then almost immediately pivots to talking about himself, and Andrew makes it clear that he will be there for Johnny when it comes to coming out to his family and just being a supportive friend overall. They say their goodbyes and they head out. In our little follow-up, we find out that about a month after filming, Johnny came out to his sister, who is extremely supportive and will help him tell the rest of the family when he is ready, which is really nice for him. I can only imagine how that was a huge weight lifted off of his shoulders. But we actually don't get an update from Andrew.
And you're about to piss me off when you do that shit.
Which is frustrating to me personally, because he was the victim in all of this, and it seems like the focus was primarily on Johnny. But because Andrew isn't a complete piece of shit, he let that happen and obviously felt it was more important for that to happen because Johnny was clearly struggling with a lot, but that still somehow felt very unfair to me in this particular situation. At the end of the day, I think Johnny was in this for all of the wrong reasons. I don't think anybody clocked him on that because he was a sympathetic catfish perpetrator, but I do wish the focus would have been more on Andrew and what Johnny put him through. It seemed like a lot of the focus was on Johnny and comforting Johnny and making Johnny feel better, and it was all about Johnny. And I personally think that Johnny liked the attention. It was clear that he was not ready for a relationship with Andrew, nor did he seriously want to pursue a relationship with Andrew, because the first time Andrew mentioned taking those steps, Johnny was like, well, what if my ex calls me? What the fuck if your ex calls you? That person already made it clear that they don't care about you. But also, Johnny revealed that he and this person were not even in a serious, exclusive, committed relationship.
You just ended up not wanting anything serious. Basically just cut me off.
So in my opinion, that is not an ex. Now, it is terrible that he was so nervous about coming out to his family. I don't think that that's anything that anyone should feel a lot of pressure to do. It shouldn't be like this terrible, intimidating, awful process. However, I don't think that that justifies everything else that he did. And I really feel for Andrew in this moment. And also the real Zach, who is constantly having his pictures taken. And people are constantly thinking that they're in relationships with him when they're not. But yes, that was the end of this special birthday edition of Catfish. Birthday because it's my birthday, okay? Leave a little cake emoji down in the comments to celebrate my birthday. I do just want to say that it has been about, I would say, a little bit over a year since I have been consistently making videos over here, trying to post at least once a week. And this has truly changed my life. And I think this year on my birthday, I'm so grateful. I don't want to cry. That's not very Scorpio of me. But I'm so grateful for all of the opportunities that this has brought my way. I'm grateful for the community that we've created. I'm just grateful for all of you. And I thank you so much for being here and continuing to be here and subscribing and sharing with your friends and leaving nice comments and sending DMs. And I'm just so appreciative. I'm so very grateful. And I can only imagine where we will be next year on my birthday. I can't believe it. So thank you so much. Y'all are one of the best birthday gifts I could have possibly asked for. If you want to help, do a little something extra for my birthday, maybe subscribe if you haven't subscribed and you're considering it. And obviously we didn't hit the 100K by my birthday, but I do be celebrating all month. So we have till the end of the month to make it happen, besties. I appreciate you. I am so very grateful for you, and I will see you in the next video.